So, hello everybody and welcome! Yes, welcome back here at BSN Network. Today we will keep back here on BSN Network. This is the BSN Network podcast here today. It is Thursday, June 4th. Hopefully everybody's having a good day so far. We got a lot of sports to get to today. It's Thursday. Hopefully everybody's doing good. We're almost obviously did Friday, everything like that. And then you got the weekend and stuff like that. And hopefully everybody's having a good day so far. It is Thursday, June 4th. We're getting closer. So today we got a lot of sports to talk about. We got NBA all-time and the best shooters. So I'm giving you I'm going to give you my top 10 best shooters of all time in the NBA. We got Baker Mayfield and the Browns. Obviously, like I said yesterday, Baker Mayfield has came out and said multiple times this offseason, it's a new Baker. So I'm going to run through, is he going to be better? How's this new attitude going to help him? How's it going to help around the Browns locker room, everything like that? Because, he's been a little chirpy throughout his career, so I'm going to run through it. And then we have the MLBPA, and the owners. I'm just going to calm things down. I'm going to give a run-through of what I think is really going to happen in the MLB season. It stinks that I have to do this. I wish the MLB season would just be played. If you really want to know how frustrated I am, you can watch last week's pods, some of this week's pods. But I've been talking a ton of MLB stuff. This is why I've been trying to find other sports too, because MLB is the same thing every day. Oh, breaking news, MLB doesn't come to an agreement. Breaking news, MLB don't come to an agreement. Breaking news, MLB doesn't come to an agreement. I don't know. I'm not sure. But yeah, hopefully everybody's having a good day and had a good rest of their day yesterday. Let's get the BSN Sports podcast started right here. So we're going to talk about the NBA all-time team best shooters. And you know how I feel about this. You got, like I said, I've said this multiple times ever since I made my NBA all-time team, ever since I made my NBA or MLB lineups, stuff like that. Right, there's so many different categories, right? You can do the best shooters for the NBA. You could do the best defenders. You could do the best winners. You could do the best dunkers. You could do the best block guys. You could do the best coaches. You could do so many different categories. You could break it down into so many little categories. Literally, you could do the best transition shooter, the best layup, the best, kind of handle kind of guy, the best moves, right? You could break it down into so many different categories. MLB, best home run hitters, best on base guys, getting on base, best infielders, best outfielders, best pitchers, best catchers, best players of all time, best winners, best coaches. You could break it down into so many different categories. So 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, I made my top 10 NBA players of all time. I put MJ, LeBron, Kareem, Bill Russell. I'm not sure. I could probably look on here, but I'm not going to. And stuff like that. I put Shaq in there, Kobe, Tim Duncan, Larry Bird, guys like that. All I know is I put MJ first. I know a lot of controversies over that. Who's better, MJ or LeBron? I put MJ number one. So today, I said this 2 days ago on the Tuesday podcast. I said, I'm going to give you my top 10 shooters. I don't know if it was going to be yesterday, today, or tomorrow. All I said was, by the end of this week, I will give you my top 10 NBA shooters. So I'm going to give you who I think are my top 10 NBA shooters. And this is a list of my opinion. I believe the top 10 shooters of all time is the most opinionated list because there's a guy named in the league, Stephen Curry. Everybody thinks he's number one. All I'm going to say is I don't have him number one on my list. I'm not going to tell you where. All I'm saying is I don't have Stephen Curry on my number one list. I know 90% of people I know, everybody has Curry. I saw a list the other day. They said there's not even an argument. In my opinion, I think there's a clear argument that people are really missing out on. Curry on my list is not number one. So if you're mad at that, then you can exit out of this and not watch this. But all I'm going to say is Curry's not number one. I think Curry's a very good shooter. I don't think he's better than who I have in number one, just because who I think is number one is the best shooter of all time by a good amount. Do I think by Curry's end of his career that he's better? Sure. At the moment, who I have at number one is, in my opinion, better than Curry by good amount. Curry has another 3-4 great seasons like he's had in the past 5 years. then sure, okay, then Curry's up. But at the moment, who my number one is, I really believe is better than Curry. So all I'm going to say is I'm going to give a warning, because I know a lot of people are passionate about Curry. I know a lot of people have big feelings about Curry. I know a ton of people, everybody's like, oh, Curry this, Curry that, Curry's the best of all time. I know a lot of people have strong opinions on Curry. I think Curry's good. I'm not a big fan of Curry. I'm not a big fan of the Warriors. I don't know. Curry's not a bad guy. I don't hate him, but I don't love him either. So I'm just going to give you Curry is not number one. So here's my list of my top 10 shooters of all time. Now, this list, I don't like to make these lists either. I like to make my all-time list. I don't do them often, though. Just because there's so much, controversy over there. There could be so much controversy over it, right? There could just be so much controversy over it. It's really crazy. And a lot of people think, Curry's number one. No, this guy's number one. No, this guy's number one. No, this guy's top 5. Are you kidding me? This guy's top 10. What are you talking about? This guy's top 5. I believe the top 10 shooter list is the most opinionated list, right? Top 10 players of all time? Okay, you can have the opinion LeBron's better than MJ. I would say 70% of NBA fans are going to say MJ's better than LeBron. You'll have that slight 30-35% that would say LeBron. But I think mainly 65 to 70% of fans would say MJ. Now, 3-point, best shooters of all time? Okay, I would say 60 say Curry, 40 say my guy that I think's number one. 70 say Curry, maybe even. I think a lot of people are up on Curry. I'm not saying Curry's bad. I don't think he's the best shooter of all time. That's all I'm going to say. Okay, so here we go. My top 10 shooter list. Let's get it. Number 1, Ray Allen. I think this is kind of obvious. Like I said, at the moment, Ray Allen's better than Curry. Ray Allen's better than Curry, in my opinion. Curry is very good. Don't get me wrong. He's one of the best basketball players in the league right now. Not top 15 of all time, maybe top 25. Right? Curry is a very good player. Don't get me wrong. Ray Allen, though, what this guy did on the court was at another level. And when he was out of his prime, when he was older, when he was with the Heat, he was still putting up big numbers. Ray Allen, Kevin Garnett, and Paul Pierce on that Boston Celtics team, that was a team that was just unstoppable. Ray Allen led that team to so many great games, so many great wins, so many great moments in Boston Celtics history. Ray Allen was such a pure shooter. He was a line drive type of shooter. He wasn't a rainbow. He wasn't a kind of rainbow guy. He shot bullets at the basket. It was line drives, which is what I'm so fascinated about Ray Allen, because he would hit a switch. He would get nothing but net most of the time, but he would be shooting line drives, right? Shooting line drives, and it would just go in and in and in. He was such a good shooter, such a pure shooter. 18.9 points per game, rounded up to 19. Field goal percentage of 45.2. He was a career 45.2 field goal percentage shooter. That is very good. 3-point percent, 40%. If you have a 40% as your 3-point for your career, boy, you are a phenomenal player. Top 15 if you have that easily. Ray Allen, in my book, is number 1. Number 2, this can get very controversial. I could easily switch this right now. I would be on both sides of the argument. You really could be. Okay. I said this before I was on the pod. Okay, before I came on the pod. This is controversial. I honestly think these two players are tied. Okay. Number 2, I have Reggie Miller. 18.2 points per game, field goal percentage of 47.1, 3-point percentage 39.5, rounded up to 40. Okay, I also have Curry at number 2 as well. I could put Curry there as well. Here's my reasoning why I put Reggie Miller. Reggie Miller was a very good all-around player, and what fascinates me so much about Reggie Miller is he was good all around, and he was very good at shooting. He was a very good defender. He was able to get in your face and things like that. He was a very good defender. He really helped that Seattle Supersonics team. Right? Very good defender. He was able to get in your face, really get you mad. Curry, on the other hand, he was a very good shooter. He's a very good shooter, don't get me wrong. His defense, take a couple steps backwards. Okay? That's the reason. That's my reasoning. Okay? I think Reggie Miller is a phenomenal shooter. I think Stephen Curry is a phenomenal shooter. I could honestly go both ways with this. I would make the argument that Curry's in front of Reggie Miller. I would also be on the side that Reggie Miller's in front of Curry. The only reason I put Reggie Miller in front of Curry is because even though the stats might not be as better, I just feel like, Reggie Miller, I think just overall was a better player, and the fact that he was still able to do a very good shooting job was unreal. That's why I put Reggie Miller in front. Number 3, Stephen Curry. Like I said, I can make the argument Curry's better than Reggie Miller. I could also say Reggie Miller's better than Curry. It really can go either way here. This is honestly a tie, in my opinion. Okay? So, number 3, I have Stephen Curry. Right? I'm sorry about that. I messed up. I messed that one up. I messed up Reggie Miller. I said that he was on the Supersonics. I messed that up. He was on the Pacers. I knew that I messed that up. I don't know why I said the Supersonics. Here's my whole thing. What happened to me is because I was looking at KD on this list, and I, for some reason, thought of the Thunder. I said the Supersonics. I meant Reggie Miller, very good player for the Pacers. Obviously, you saw him in the documentary with MJ and all them, very good player. I did not mean to say that. I meant to say the Indiana Pacers, but I accidentally said the Supersonics. I don't know why I did. That's my bad. Just erase that. So number 3, I have Stephen Curry. So Stephen Curry at number 3. Like I said, Stephen Curry, very, very good player. He's probably the best shooter in the NBA right now. Like I said, Curry, 23.5 points per game, field goal percentage 47.6, three-point percentage 43.5. I really, 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 really like Curry. A lot. I think that really like his shooting. I think his shooting is very, very good. I don't really like him as much. I shouldn't say I really, 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 really like Curry. I really, really like his shooting. Shooting is very, very, very good. He can get you good plays. He can get you good shots when you need him to get good shots. And I think Curry is, here's my thing with Curry, right? Everybody goes ahead and says, Curry won all these finals. The stats show he was more successful with KD. More successful with KD. They won all those finals with KD. He choked against the Cavaliers and LeBron when it was just him. Right? Yeah, he beat the Cavs once with him, right? Then he beat the Cavs with KD. He beat the Cavs again with KD. Then he lost to the Raptors, but the game KD played some of it in, the game KD played like half of the game and then really ruptured his Achilles, they won that game because KD was in. Rest of that series, no, forget about it. Right? That's why Curry, I think a lot of people overrate him a little bit. Curry won all these finals. It was KD helped them out a ton. And I ain't saying that because I'm a Nets fan. KD's now in the Nets. Believe me, I've said it for years. I've said it for years now. I said it once they choked that finals. I was always saying, KD, if they get, when KD came there, they're winning now because KD's there. Curry reminds me like a Russell Westbrook. He needs a good teammate. He can't win it by himself. He can't. He messed up by himself. He blew a 3-1 lead, right? Curry's a very good shooter, the best shooter in the league right now. You really can't make the argument about that. Number 4, Steve Nash, 14.3 points per game, 49 field goal percentage, 3-point percentage at 42.8. Right? All these guys, their 3-point percentages are unreal. These guys are shooting 40%. That's crazy good. Unbelievable. You can be a 40% 3-point shooter. Sign you up. 40, right? You might think 40% is bad, but 40% for basketball is very, very, very good. It's very good. I know some people are like, 40%, that's not that good. That's actually very good. By NBA means, that's very good. 40% shooting is very, very good. So, Steve Nash, right? This guy was good at deep threes. He can hit deep threes. He really helped out that Suns team a lot, right? Not a big points guy, but he converted when it mattered most, right? He had a couple big point games. He had a couple of those 63-point games. He had a couple of those 50-point games. He had a couple of those 40s. Not a huge point guy. He had a couple of those games. Really helped out that Suns team. Really, really did. Steve Nash, you can make the argument back then, was one of the best shooters in the league. Steve Nash, very good player. Deep threes is what I like about him, too. He can hit deep threes. He could also drive and hit mid-range. He can do both things. He's a very, very, very multi-dimensional shooter. Very good player. Steve Nash at number 4. Number 5, Klay Thompson. This is debatable, right? Because, you got Klay Thompson, right? Klay Thompson's a very good player. A lot of people put Klay Thompson at number 2. A lot of people put Curry, Klay, Ray Allen. I don't agree with that. I think Klay Thompson's good. I don't agree putting him at 2. I see top 5. Klay Thompson at number 5, 19.5 points per game. Field goal percentage at 45.9, rounded up to 46. 3-point percentage at 41.9, rounded up to 42. Very good player. Klay Thompson, very good player, right? And here's what I find about Klay Thompson, right? He'll have a good game, like a good game. He'll have a smooth game going, right? He'll do his thing, He's going pretty good. And all of a sudden, out of the middle of nowhere, Klay Thompson just takes over. The amount of 40-point quarters he's had, the amount of big point quarters he's had is what makes him such a good player. Because he catches fire and he's unstoppable. That's why I would rank Klay Thompson higher on this list if Klay Thompson was always like that. Right? Klay Thompson's good. He's a good player, right? He'll have a good game going, moving, right? All right, 20 points going to the fourth quarter. All of a sudden, lights it up, 30-point quarter, he ends with 50. This is a very, very good player. When Klay Thompson catches fire, it's a problem. It's a big, huge problem. Because he catches fire, and he stays on fire. He doesn't cool down. He don't cool down. He doesn't. He catches fire until the end of that game. That's what's so scary about Klay Thompson. And that's why I'm putting him in the top 5. Because he's a clutch shooter, right? That's why I look in shooters. Are they clutch? Can they make big shots? When they're on fire, are they really on fire? Right? Ray Allen, he can hit threes, right? Stephen Curry, when he's hot, he's on. He can hit 13 threes in a game, sure. Ray Allen was like that same way too. Catch and shoot, unreal. Right? Same thing with Steve Nash, very good deep 3-point shooter. Reggie Miller, in that documentary, hit some clutch shots against MJ and the Bulls. That's why I look in guys like this. Very good shooters, very good overall around players, right? Klay Thompson, when he catches fire, it's a scary thing. He almost reminds me of Lamar Jackson or Patrick Mahomes. When they were down against the Texans, and when they were down against the Texans, the Chiefs were. Mahomes caught fire. Texans got sent home that night, right? It's a problem. It's a big problem. When Klay Thompson catches fire, you gotta watch out. Might as well just leave the arena because he ain't getting stopped. Number 6, Larry Bird. I think Larry Bird is a very good all-around player. I also think I think Larry Bird's one of the more underrated shooters in the league. You really look at his stats. Everybody looks at his, defensive parts. Everybody looks at his leadership. If you really dissect his game, he's a very good shooter. 24.3 points per game. Field goal percentage at 49.6. He's a 50, rounded up, he's a 50% field goal percentage. And his 3-point percentage is 41.9, that's 42%. Rounded up. Unreal. It's unbelievable. And that's why I don't feel bad, but you just gotta look at it. Everybody thinks of Larry Bird, being this big old winner. Everybody just looks at his all-around play, right? Which, don't get me wrong, very good defender, very good offensive guy. All around, he was a very good player. But when you really dissect his game, his shooting is very underrated. Nobody talks about Larry Bird for his shooting. People talk about Larry Bird for his all-around play, which I like about players. His defense, his leadership. From what people said, he was a very good leader. That's why he went on and went on to coach. I saw that in the MJ documentary, right? That's why he went on to coach, because he was a very good leader. He was good at mentoring guys. He was good at helping them out, right? Very good player. Larry Bird, you dissect his game, he's a very good shooter. Underrated. Probably the most underrated on this list, in my opinion, is Larry Bird. At the shooting position, Larry Bird ain't underrated all time. Shooting, though, not many people talking. Larry Bird ain't a household name in the shooting house. With the Ray Allens, with the Reggie Millers, with the Currys of the world, with the Nashes, with the Thompsons. It's almost like the Heisman house. Let's just say there's a shooting house, right? Curry's there, Ray Allen's there, all these players I just named are there. Larry Bird, he gets the gas through. Larry Bird is a very underrated shooter. He's a very good shooter, though. Number 7, Kevin Durant. Like I said, this guy, Kevin Durant, might not be a great 3-point shooter. His 3-point shooting isn't the best. It's not Stephen Curry. It's not Ray Allen. It's not Klay Thompson. It's not Larry Bird. It's not Steve Nash. But his three-point shooting isn't the greatest. But what I like about KD is that mid-range he's got. That's what's so bad about this Achilles injury. He's just jump shots after jump shots. Get a jump shot. Gets it. Boom. Catch, shoot. Catch, shoot. Catch, shoot. Very good player. Three-point might not be the best, but his mid-range is which a lot of people are scared about with the Achilles. Because mid-range, he always jump. He's known, his Achilles is known for that cutting. He's known for the dribbling back and then stepping back, right? That's his main move. He's a very good mid-range, very good mid-range shooter. 27 points per game, 49.3 field goal percentage, 30-point percentage, 38.1. Like I said, his three-point aim is sparkling, 38.1 is still very good. His three-point isn't sparkling because he's not one of those guys that's putting up 23s a game, but he's still a very good player. All around, KD, very good. Offense, like I said, you start dissecting his game, you really start to notice he's a good shooter too. Him and Larry Bird are both in guest rooms if you were to go to the shooting house. Okay? Kevin Durant, you dissect his game, he's a good shooter. He gets in there. Pretty good shooter. Number 8, Dirk Nowitzki. This is another one, right? A lot of people don't talk. Dirk has his moments. Dirk has his moments, right? He's a good shooter. He's clutch. Dirk is always known for being clutch. He reminds me a lot of Klay Thompson. Klay Thompson, clutch. You need him to come up big in the fourth quarter. And if he's only having 20 points that game, he'll put up 30 and put up a 50-point game. And everything's that in the first 3 quarters. If he was shooting 5 for 15, that's all wiped away because Klay Thompson put up a 30-point quarter. Dirk Nowitzki was like that as well. A very, very good player. One of the greatest of all times. I didn't put him in my top 10 list, but I think he's top 15, top 20. Dirk is very good. He was a very good deep 3 guy. He was very clutch. You can say he's one of the clutcher guys. With the Mavericks, he played with the Mavericks his whole career. 20.7 points per game, field goal percentage of 47.1, 3-point, 38.0. Like I said, it's the mid-range. He was a very good. He was a very good down low shooter in the paint. He's tall, he's lengthy, he's big, he's strong. His arms are long. Right, very good player. You need him to drive, get you points. He can. Mid-range, yes. Threes, he can hit deep threes. Believe me, I've seen it before in highlights. He can hit deep threes. I've also seen Dirk play live a couple times. Actually, a lot I've seen Dirk play. They had that whole farewell tour last year. Farewell last year with Dirk obviously being his last season. I've seen him play a ton of times. Very good player. Dirk, I would say, was number 8 on my top 10 shooting list. Number 9, number 9 and number 10 are a little controversial here. All right, you can make the argument. I think the stats really are kind of bulging out. They're kind of really out here. That Steve Kerr's better. I put number 9 Steve Kerr. Steve Kerr, we learned in the MJ documentary, very underrated. He's a very underrated player. When he came to the Bulls, he knew he wasn't going to get the ball much. But he was a very underrated shooter. Very underrated player overall. Steve Kerr, 6 points per game. Field goal percentage at 47.9, rounded up to 48. 3-point, 45%. When he was with the Bulls, he might only be putting up 6 points per game, but he made those shots count. You look at his shooting percentages throughout the season. He would take 4 threes in a game. He would make 3 of them. He would take 6 shots in a game. He would make 4 of them. Right? Very good. And it actually said in a documentary how he might not be that 30-point a night guy. He's that 6-point, 10-point kind of guy, but he hits shots when they count, and he converts on 90% of his shots. He doesn't take dumb shots. That's what I learned about Steve Kerr too. He was a very smart shooter. Very smart shooter. Very, very, very smart type of shooter. He wasn't let me haul up a 3 here. Let me just chuck up a 3, and with 3 seconds left on the clock, when MJ said give him the ball, he shot that shot and hit it because he got open, he got the ball, he was looking. Right? Steve Kerr always was a good player, very good player. Steve Kerr, number 9, I think he's very underrated. Number 10, Kyle Korver. Kyle Korver's had an interesting career. He's had his moments. He's with the Cavs. He's with the Bucks. He's with the Bucks, the Milwaukee Bucks. He's now, obviously, like I said 3 times already. He's with the Bucks. He's been with the Cavs. He's been with a couple teams. Kyle Korver's had a very interesting career. He hasn't been great. He hasn't been the best. He's been okay at best. Okay? Kyle Korver, though, his shooting, the bright spot of his game. And I remember going into a couple of the finals. Very good player. He's a very good player. I've seen him. I've watched him a ton of times. Very good player. He's a very good shooter. Shooting percentages are high. Like I said, everybody talks about Kyle Korver. Oh, man, this guy isn't good. Everybody talks about his shooting. He's good at shooting. He's a very good shooter. Points per game, not really there. He's only putting up 9.7, rounded up to 10. They're not really there. This is their careers, guys. Just if you're wondering. He's not the best shooter in the world. He's not the worst. Kyle Korver, though, is very underrated. I think a lot of people talk about his shooting, yes, but they don't talk about, he's a top 10 kind of guy. I think Kyle Korver is a very good shooter. 9.7 points per game, 44.2 field goal percentage, 42.9, rounding up to 43 3-point percentage. Now, looking at a list, putting Kyle Korver top 5, no. Top 7, nah. Top 8, okay, you got something. Top 10, yes. Number 10, yes, I agree with that. Top 8, okay, alright, maybe. Top 7, still pushing a little bit. Top 5 is way too much. I've seen people put number 2 Kyle Korver. That's outrageous. Kyle Korver ain't the number 2. He's a top 10, I think, shooter of all time. He's not number 2, though. Kyle Korver is very good. He's a very good shooter. Not big, but he almost reminds me of a Steve Kerr. He makes smart decisions. He's a smart guy. And that goes to show you, for guys that aren't putting up these 20 points per game, putting up the big 27 points per game, they're putting up 6, that means it goes to show you that they're making smart decisions. Because if they're only making 6 points a game, that means they're only shooting about 3 times a game, which means they're converting about 3 out of the 4 times whatever they shoot, which is why these guys' percentages are so high, which is why they might even be better shooters than some of these guys that they're putting up 27-point game, because they're shooting less shots. They're like 3 for 4 a game. Okay, I just went 3 for 4. That's 75% for the night. That's crazy, right? It's unbelievable how good these guys are. And I know a ton of people say that, the percentages aren't that high. I know. For normal numbers, that they're not high. But 40% 3-point, 39% 3-point, 43, 42, 41, those are unreal. If you shoot 47% in your career, that's just nuts. It's crazy. It's unbelievable how good that really. It's really hard because you got to think. James Harden, he'll go 2 for 17 one night on shots. That's 2 for 17. I will put that. I'm going to calculate that right now. Let me go. Let me check. Let's see. So if he goes 2 for 17 one night. Let's see. That's about 11% shooting, 12%, which has happened before. Now, let's just say Kyle Korver putting up 10 points. He would have to go about, 5 for 6? No, I would say 4 for 6. He's going around, 4 for 6, somewhere around there. Right? He's going somewhere around there. He's going somewhere around the 4 for 6 range, 3 for 6 range, right? That's pretty good. It's pretty good, not gonna, alright? It's pretty good. Now you might seem, for a normal number, looking at your test and saying that you got a 47%, that's bad. But you can't say that. You gotta look at the numbers in the NBA. No guy, it's impossible it's almost impossible. You'll probably never see a guy shoot 80%, 90%. You'll never see it. It's very hard, right? That's almost shooting 10 a game and missing 1 every single game, right? Kyrie has shot 90% this year in the game. It was his first game back. Shot 9 for 10, right? You can't compare. Like I said, getting a 47% in the NBA, shooting 47% for your career is almost getting 100 on a standardized test. It's unreal. Now, sure, you got a 40% on your test in school. That's horrible. But you got a 47% for Basketball, totally different story. So this is my top 10 list. I'll read it once more. Ray Allen, Reggie Miller, Stephen Curry, Steve Nash, Klay Thompson, Larry Bird, Kevin Durant, Dirk Nowitzki, Steve Kerr, and Kyle Korver. That is my top 10 list. That is my top 10 list for the NBA. Like I said, you can make so many different arguments. You could say, anybody's the best shooter of all time. Like I said, sports is a world full of opinions. There's no right or wrong answer. Now, sure, there's a couple right or wrong answers. Like, there's a couple right or wrong answers, right? Like, I guess there's a couple answers that are true, right? Like, there's a couple answers in sports that you can't even argue. Like, the Yankees have the most World Series titles in baseball. You can't argue that. That's a fact. 27 times. That's a fact. Like, you can't argue. There's certain stuff that you can. I always try to stress this. There's certain stuff that you can argue in sports, right? Tom Brady being the best quarterback, right? I always say this. I could say right now Sam Darnold's the best quarterback of all time and give you reasoning why I think it is. Do I think that? No. But, there's certain facts in sports. So that's my opinion. That's what I think. There's certain facts in sports. Yankees have won the most World Series. That's a fact. You can't argue that. You can't say, oh, well, no, if you look at that, that's a true fact. They've won 27. It's a real fact. Right? Sure, maybe you don't think the Patriots was that successful of a dynasty. That's not a fact. Now, yes, it is, kind of. In my opinion, I think that should be clear to everybody. Patriots have one of the greatest dynasties in sports, sure. But MJ, you can't say, sure, you could say MJ was not successful. That's outrageous. That's outrageous saying that MJ is not successful. But, it's how it is, so. It really all depends, because you could say a lot. You could say a lot about, players and, coaches and things like that. But, you could say a lot about that. And it's a lot of opinions, though. It's a lot of opinion, very little facts. So that's my opinion. That's all I'm going to say. You can beat me. Comment down below. You can crush me about it. You could say, oh, well, how dare you put Curry here? How dare you put Ray Allen number one? That's why I want to hear from you guys. Put yours in the comments down below. Put your top 10 players of all time in the comment down below. Okay? Or not players of all time. I mean top 10 shooters of all time in the comment section down below. I would love to find out what you guys think, right? Sure, I might not agree, but I'm not going to go rampage on it, right? I like to see what you guys think, right? Because I talk sports. You guys always hear my opinion. I like to hear yours as well. So, anyway, so that's what I got for the top 10 players of all time. Now let's go into Baker Mayfield. So Baker Mayfield a couple days ago came out and said, and he's been saying this for a while now, that he's going to change his attitude. Baker Mayfield has been a very, very kind of cocky, talking, loudmouth, things like that. And I'm not trying to be mean by him saying that. He would agree. He's been that way. That's why he's trying to change himself. And I think he's trying to focus more on football. He's been more of, I don't want to say showboat. He's been more like, I don't know how to perfectly say it. He's been more focused on, I think, everybody talking about him than him really focusing on playing football. That's what I really think, right? Because a lot of people are like, oh, Baker Mayfield this, Baker Mayfield that, and I think that's why he wants to, because he said some controversy things over the years, over his 2 years of quarterback, and obviously coming into his third season as quarterback for the Cleveland Browns. All right, now, don't get me wrong, you can have a little cocky. Everybody's got a little cocky in them, right? I'm trying to be humble as much as I can. Like, even when people ask me if I'm good at baseball, I don't like that question. I just don't, right? I don't like when people ask me if I'm good at something because I'm trying to be humble as I can. If you were to ask Baker Mayfield a year ago if he's good at football, he would say, yeah. Now is he? Yes. A humble response would be, sure, a humble response. I don't like to say if I'm good at baseball. I don't like to say if I'm good at what I do with the podcasting. Sure, you might think I do. I just, if somebody asks me, are you good at something? I try to stay as humble as I can, so I'm not a big fan of really saying, am I good at this? Because then it sounds like I'm cocky if I say, oh yeah, I'm the best at this, I'm the best at that, I'm the best at that, right? And that's kind of what Baker Mayfield's been. He's been kind of cocky, like I said, kind of a loudmouth, kind of been a lot of chatter and not much success. He hasn't really been, he wasn't the greatest player in the world. He hasn't been very successful. In my opinion, he's been like kind of Sam Darnold. Now, I think he might have been better maybe a little bit, but Sam Darnold and him are kind of close. Sam Darnold's been much more humble. Baker Mayfield, though, I think he's got to tone it down a little bit. He's at bar 10 right now, tone it down to about bar 7, 6. And I think that's what he's trying to do. Right? Because I think people are starting to notice it, right? Baker Mayfield is all cocky. Oh, I woke up this morning feeling dangerous. Oh, this, and this, and this, right? All of that stuff, a lot of chatter, little to none. There's a lot of chatter, not much success on the playing field. He hasn't been that successful. And I almost go back to my point with Lonzo, right? I don't think he's been successful because I think if he's successful for you, if you think he's been successful, then you set some pretty low standards for Baker Mayfield for a number one pick in the draft, right? You would assume a number one pick of the draft would probably win Rookie of the Year, would lead his team to not maybe a playoff because Kyler Murray hasn't yet, although he got some serious help in the receiving corps and just all around that team, getting Isaiah Simmons and everything like that. Who knows if the Cardinals are going to be a playoff team? I don't think they will, but, who knows? I shouldn't say I don't think so because I haven't really looked over their complete schedule and really looked at the games, so I shouldn't say that. But, a lot of people thought Baker Mayfield and the Browns last year were going to be a top-seeded team, win the AFC South. Obviously the Ravens took that and, things like that. So obviously, he's kind of, it's kind of interesting, to see what's all been panning out, with this whole thing. So Baker Mayfield, should be interesting. It should be interesting what happens. A lot of people, like I said last year, I think that's one thing with problem with Baker Mayfield. I think everybody's putting him on a high pedestal. Everybody's like, oh, Baker Mayfield, here he is, putting him on a high pedestal. And I think Baker Mayfield's trying to get off of that. I think a lot of Browns fans are putting a lot of pressure on him, a lot of, just a lot of stuff on him that they shouldn't be doing, but they are. And I just think that's a problem because I think that's making him feel a little more cocky. That's making him feel like, oh, I got to say this, I got to say this, I got to say this. But really, if you're put on that high pedestal, you got to be humble. You got to be humble about it. Because then everybody's talking about Baker Mayfield, and then when he says something, or when he says, oh, I woke up feeling dangerous, or oh, I did this, I did that, and all of a sudden he's not performing that well in the field, then you're going to get hate for it. And that's why I don't like Baker Mayfield. I think he's a loudmouth. I think he talks a lot. I think he's he's cocky. I think he's a little cocky. I mean, that's not bad. It's not bad to have some cocky in you, right? I mean, I wouldn't say. I mean, it's not bad to have a little cocky in you, right? It's not bad, because you could have a little trash talking in you, right? Everybody has a little bit of it. I think some people have more than others, right? Baker Mayfield, it would not be our ideal person to say, oh, this is the most humble player in the NFL. That is not true. Baker Mayfield is probably one of the more cockier players in the NFL. Like I said, that's not a bad thing. You can be cocky, but sometimes you take your cockiness a little too far, and all of a sudden, you're getting hated around the league. And that's what I think is the problem with Baker Mayfield. Non-Browns fans, like me, I'm a Jets fan, huge Jets fan. Been a Jets fan my whole life, a lot of suffering. I don't think Baker Mayfield's that good. I don't think Baker Mayfield's anything special. I think Browns fans think he is. I think Browns fans are overhyping. I think Browns fans are, Odell Beckham and Jarvis Landry are going to carry this team. What did Odell Beckham and Jarvis Landry do last year that was significant to the team making the playoffs? They didn't even make the playoffs, right? So you could say a lot of that, right? Same thing with Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield this, Baker Mayfield that. He hasn't made one playoff appearance, right? That's almost like saying, Sam Darnold is so good. So good. What has Sam Darnold done significantly to help the Jets do anything? Sure, he's won some games for the Jets, yeah. I'm not trying to be mean on Sam Darnold here. I'm not trying to, I'm not trying to be horribly mean on him. I'm not trying to do that. You also got to look at the coaches Sam Darnold's had. He's had Todd Bowles, defensive-minded coach, who I would rather than, Adam Gase, Todd Bowles, I would probably take Bowles over Gase. Gase, not a good coach. Bowles, very good defensive coordinator, went over there in Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who I think is going to be very successful, right? Baker Mayfield, Freddie Kitchens, Hugh Jackson. He's had some tough coaches. We can agree with that. We can say that. And that goes into my next point. Will Baker Mayfield improve? He's going to, his attitude, or his, I shouldn't say attitude, his cockiness, I think is going to get lowered a little bit. I think their new coach, the former Vikings offensive coordinator, right? Sure. Baker Mayfield's kind of getting a fresh start. Baker Mayfield had Hugh Jackson and Freddie Kitchens as his head coach. Those were not good guys. Not good head coaches at all. Now he gets a decent coach, what it seems like, a guy that wants to really help out Baker Mayfield. And will Baker Mayfield really, will Baker Mayfield obviously improve from it? I don't know. Obviously, I don't really, know what the whole situation's going to be. But all I know is that Baker Mayfield focuses less on the noise outside, and focuses less on, he even said he's not going to be tweeting much. He's not going to be putting much out on social media. That's what I can tell you. What, I don't have any social medias. I don't, because it's so true. Social media is, social media is just, it's not bad. But for athletes sometimes, you got all this noise coming in. You got everybody, telling you everything. You got everybody writing you stuff. Sometimes it's good just to put down the phone for 5 minutes and just focus on what you got to do to be better, right? That's what I always try to focus on, me as a player. What can I do better, right? Because you're never perfect. Right? Now, sure, I'm not perfect either. Nobody's perfect. It would be unhuman to be perfect. I'm sure a lot of people thought MJ made every shot. Watching that documentary, he wasn't perfect. He missed shots. Now, yeah, sure, his miss-to-make ratio was unbelievable. Sure, he made a lot of shots. He missed a lot as well. He missed over 3,000 shots in his career. But it was because he was so successful. Nobody's going to think about that. That's the problem. You're not successful, everybody's going to think about the bad numbers. Right, Brady. Nobody talks about the interceptions. He's thrown a lot of interceptions throughout his career. Not many, not like some other quarterbacks. But it's because he's so successful, people don't talk about this. So if you drop down to social media, which Baker Mayfield said he will, you don't focus on that, and you just focus on playing for the Cleveland Browns and getting this Cleveland. And obviously, his whole goal is getting this Cleveland Browns team a Super Bowl. I think he'll be better. And he has a good head coach now. Last season, he had 3,827 yards, 22 touchdowns, 21 interceptions, 52.4 QBR. Yards was 14th in the NFL. Touchdowns was 16th. Interceptions was 31st. QBR was 19th. The interceptions got to go down. Got to go down. He was only behind Jameis Winston last year. And I think that will help with a new head coach, because I think Freddie Kitchens might have made some dumb decisions with him last year. So I think it will really help. I think Mayfield if he focuses on playing for the Cleveland Browns, here's his career stats: 30 games played, 627 completions, 1,020 attempts, 61.5 completion percentage, 7,552 yards, 7.4 was his average, 49 touchdowns, 35 interceptions, long was 89, sacks 65, fumbles 8. QBR 85.9, rounded up to 86. He lowers the interceptions. Right, he lowers the interceptions. He gets a little more touchdowns. He blocks out the outside noise. Sure, Baker Mayfield's a good player. And that's what I find fascinating about Jackie Robinson. I always say this. He was back then with the whole, obviously, the black players playing baseball and everything like that, with the whole, the movement back then, with the whole, baseball, the Negro Leagues, and everything like that. Jackie Robinson was obviously, the first black baseball player and everything to go to the MLB, really transformed the MLB. Well, he got a lot of hate from the outside. But he was able to block that out. Now, mind you, Jackie Robinson played, there was no Twitters, there was no Instagrams, there was no Snapchats of the world, there was no, there was none of that, right? There was not much There was newspapers. There was no really big name technology. There was no social medias back then, right? And there was none of that, right? So, you can make an argument if Jackie Robinson played now, and let's just say there was phones and stuff back then. Jackie Robinson, I don't know how he would have handled it still, but I think what I'm trying to say is Jackie Robinson was able to block out all that noise. He got a ton of hate. Saying bad things about him, saying this, saying that. Just hate in general, right? Every player in the league, like Tom Brady's going to get hate. I don't like Tom Brady. He's going to get hate. Jackie Robinson got all types of hate. He was able to block that out and just focus on playing baseball. That's what Baker Mayfield's got to do. You're going to get hate. Not everybody's going to like you. It's how it is. Not everybody's going to like you. If everybody liked you, then that would be weird. I shouldn't say weird. That would just, not everybody's going to like you. And nor are you going to like everybody. Right? But I think with Baker Mayfield, he blocks out that noise, he puts down the phone, and he just focuses on playing football and trying to get this Browns team a Super Bowl championship from what these Cleveland Browns fans have been waiting for years and years and years now, then I think Baker Mayfield could be much better this year. Maybe a little bit more touchdowns. I think progressively, if Baker Mayfield blocks out the outside noise, blocks out the social media, doesn't focus on that stuff, now I'm not saying he can't look on his phone ever again. No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying he doesn't focus on, he's not so connected into the Instagrams, the Twitters of the world. He's not so connected into that. He just puts his phone down and kind of just focuses on football, blocks out the outside noise. Don't care what anybody else says about you, then I think he would be good. I think he can have a very, 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 very good season. So I really think, I think this is huge for Baker Mayfield. If this is true, what I'm hearing, if he's really trying to change himself, then I really believe he could have a good season. So now we move into the MLB, and you know how I feel about the MLB, this, and this, and this, and the MLB, Players Association, things like that. It's interesting. It's interesting. So, anyway. So, Baker Mayfield. MLB. Sorry about that. So, MLB came out yesterday, or a couple days ago. The MLBPA came out with a deal. 114-game season, blah, 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 blah. Well, I said this yesterday in my podcast. I think it's going to get rejected. Sure enough, it did get rejected. It did get rejected yesterday's. The owners were furiated. It said it was it was like a blowout. I think they said, mostly all the owners rejected the offer. And it said, MLB rejects 114 game, tells union no counter offer. So, what I'm trying to say by that, counter offer, from what I'm hearing, is they offer him something else. So, I'm assuming it's either the MLBPA's got to come up with something, or there ain't no baseball season. Major League Baseball has rejected the players' offer for a 114-game season, regular season, with no additional salary cuts, and told the union it did not plan to make a counter-proposal, sources confirmed to ESPN. Players made their proposal Sunday from an 82-game regular season, and the management's offer last week. Opening day would be June 30th, and the regular season would end October 31st. Nearly 5 weeks after the September 22nd conclusion, the MLB's proposal of stuck to form from the season's original schedule. MLB told the union it had no interest in extending the season to November, when a fierce second wave of coronavirus could disrupt the postseason and jeopardize $787 million in broadcast revenue. While management has suggested it could play a short regular season of about 50 games with no more salary reductions, it has not formally proposed that concept. Earlier this week, multiple players told ESPN that they would not be a shorter schedule, with one saying, "We want to play more games, and they want to play less. We want more baseball." I'll talk about that in a second. The Athletic first reported on MLB rejecting the players' offer. So, hold on a second. Did you just hear this? We want to play more games, and they want to play less. We want more baseball. Okay. If you were really, really, really that passionate for baseball and you really wanted to play baseball, you would just take the deal. You would take the deal they offered you a month ago when the KBO was just starting up. You would take that deal. So don't even tell me, don't even begin to say, oh, we want more baseball, they don't. It's because your contract. We know you. We know you MLB players. We know you high salary guys. We understand. Alright, we get it. We understand, alright? You didn't fool us. You ain't gonna fool us now. We get your tricks. We get your tricks, alright? We get it. We get it. Oh, so you're gonna... That's just so bad. We want to play more games, and they want to play less. We want more baseball. Well, if you really wanted baseball, you would just take the deal they offered in the first place and just play baseball. But the reason they're trying to get more games is because they want their contracts to be full. And then you know what these players are going to be complaining about? Oh, it's too cold. November. Oh, it's freezing. Are you kidding me? No, freezing outside. Oh, my gosh. Why? Why? Well, what are they doing to us? Oh, my gosh. We got to go in the clubhouse and go under the covers. I mean, really? Come on, be real here. You know what they're saying. Oh, be quiet. Don't even start with me. Don't even start. Oh, they want less baseball, we want more. Well, if you really wanted to play baseball, then you would just take the deal they offered you, play 82 games, get on with the season, period. But the reason you want to play more baseball is because of one thing, and that is the money. M-O-N-E-Y, money. That's why. That's why. That's why you want to play more games. You ain't playing more games because you don't want to play more games because you really want to. You want to play more games so you can get your full contract. Believe me, you're not fooling us. You're not. You want to play more games because you want your contracts to be the same. That's why. You're not playing more games because you just want to play more baseball. You want to play more games so your contracts are the full contract, right? Yeah, you can't get that unless if you play 162. Sorry, you're going to have to cut it one way or another. Sorry. You don't want to play more games because, oh, we want to play more baseball, they don't. Don't even say that. You want to play more games because you want to get your same amount of money you would get in a 162 game season. It's been that way for years, MLB players. You ain't fooling us again. You ain't fooling us again. Not this time. Teams and players hope to start the season in ballparks with no fans, and the teams say they would sustain huge losses if salaries are not cut more. Exactly. The side agreed to a deal March 26, in which players accepted portrayed salaries in exchange for $170 million advantage guaranteed if the season is scrapped. Each player would get 2020 service time matching with the player accrued. And the deal called for good faith negotiations. Over playing in empty stadiums or at neutral sites, the union has no additional cuts are acceptable. MLB's May 26 proposal would lower 2020 salaries from $4 billion to approximately $1.2 billion, establishing sliding scale reductions. Players minimum, led by Mike Trout and Garrett Cole, $36 million, would receive less than 23%. The union's offer would have salaries total about $2.8 billion, leaving each player with 70% of his original salary. See, 70%. Information from ESPN's Jeff Passan and the Associated Press was used in this report. Telling you, man, I'm telling you, these players, it's not because they want to play more baseball. It's because they want to get their salaries to be the same. It's obvious. It's so obvious. The reason MLB's trying to make it a shorter season is it ain't because they don't want you to play. It ain't because they don't want the season to play less. It's because they can't take you getting your whole salaries. That's why MLB players, come on, we get you. We got you a month ago when you didn't agree with it because all you probably cared about was the money. So, just going to put that out there. MLB, do I think it's going to come back? It don't look too good right now. It really doesn't. And the MLBPA, they can't let the MLBPA get in control of this. The commissioner of baseball, he has to slow this down. He can't. The MLBPA then will be throwing out deals left and right. Oh, let's play a 150-game season with only 5% of our cast salaries cut. Let's play a 114-game season, same amount of salaries. It ain't because you want to play more baseball. It's because you want your salary to be the same. That's why. So that's what I got for the pod. 3 comments I want you to comment down below. NBA all-time best shooters. Comment down. Do you agree with mine? What do you think about it? And also, if you want, you can comment your list as well. Do you think Baker Mayfield and the Browns, blocking out the noise and stuff like that, do you think that's going to help him? Comment down below about that. MLB, MLBPA, and the owners. What do you think? Do you think the players are doing because they want more money, or do you think they're doing because they truly want to play? I think I know the answer, but comment down below anyway. What's your opinion on the MLB? Just things like that, whatever the case may be. But anyway, that's what I got for today's podcast. Hopefully you enjoyed it, and we'll be back at it tomorrow, Friday. What else has to be said? I don't know. I did everything. MLB all-time team. Baker Mayfield and the Browns, or NBA all-time best shooters, Baker Mayfield and the Browns, and the MLB, and the MLBPA, and the owners. That's all what I talked about today. Anyway, enjoy the rest of your day. I'll see you back here tomorrow, and thanks for watching.